Is the Western Standard secretly working for the Carney campaign? Or are they just stupid?
Hi, Jared Yeager here with the Western Standard. So, yesterday at your rally, you said Pierre Poilievre's plan is to, quote, divide and be conquered. As of now, Canada is reliant on the US to get our own oil from one side of the country to the other. By not repealing Bill C 69 and allowing Quebec to veto a pipeline across Canada, are you not yourself setting up Canada to be divided and conquered?
Absolutely not. In fact, in the premise of your question, you answer it, which is if we are going to build, and I am a proponent of building big energy infrastructure in this country, but if we are going to build big energy infrastructure in this country, there is a we in that. It is not imposed. It is not imposed by the federal government. It's not imposed by an opposition politician. It's not imposed by a company. It requires the support of, in the example you gave, in Energy East of Quebec, the other provinces that are affected. It requires the support, the free, prior, and informed consent of First Nations. So that's the exact opposite, which is that coming together to build. Now, what I've proposed, both at the First Minister's level and more broadly, is that we as a country use this crisis to identify those projects of national interest, many of which, not all of which, but many of which are energy infrastructure projects, so that we can get those agreements, so that we can come together and we can accelerate. And last point, with respect to C69, what I've also been clear about is the ability under C69, not as it was, but as it is, and the Minister of Natural Resources, Mr. Wilkinson, is here, as it is under his leadership, we have an ability to rely on, as appropriate, impact assessments that are performed at different levels of government. And that is part and parcel of how we can make this work. So I reject the question, but I hope I've provided some illumination. Thank you.
Now, Carney is a smart guy. If you haven't been paying attention, Carney has repeatedly said he is willing to let the oil and gas industry, or as they identify these days, the energy industry, build all the pipelines that they want. If they want to build a pipeline through Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and through northern Ontario and into Quebec, Carney is going to let them do it. He'll even streamline things and do his best to make sure that they don't spill diluted bitumen into everyone's drinking water. But he's also going to let them pay for the pipelines. If they're going to be the ones making all the money hand over fist, they can easily afford a couple billion on a pipeline, right? Right? Yeah, the thing is, a pipeline gets a certain demographic in Alberta who identifies as pipes. Very excited. Very excited. You know who doesn't get excited over pipeline investment? The people who own the pipelines down into the US. They would much rather take the low quality bitumen and pipe it down to their existing refineries in the US, which is a lot cheaper, and the environment around those refineries is already shot to hell and back. That's what the people who actually run the oil and gas industry want. They might like a second pipeline down to that area where they have the investment already, where they've already sunk all their costs. And they're going to get to do that. It might take a month or two, but things in the US will already be resolved before an east west pipeline could ever be constructed. Either the oil and gas industry will pay some sort of ridiculous, humiliating bribe to Trump, or someone will orchestrate his removal. Seriously, people do not realize how difficult it is to play defense in the game of life when all the people with essentially unlimited resources don't want to continue playing the game with you because they're sick of you trying to flip over the board. Trump enjoys creating chaos. He's impulsive and he doesn't appreciate the consequences of his action. The dude has been figuratively saying, let them eat golf. Worst case scenario, the oil and gas industry marry off some of their daughters to the various warlords who will divide the flyover states between them in the post-America era. All of those possible futures finish to the satisfaction of the oil and gas industry in a tenth of the amount of time that it takes to build a pipeline to the refineries out east. The oil in Alberta is valuable, but it is also not self-reproducing. Once it's gone, it's gone. Alberta in the long run is better off diversifying its economy so that it can always have some oil extraction going on, but it can be more than just a one industry province. Danielle and Pierre want to announce 100 different pipelines, not because there's a need and not because anyone would ever make back their investment on it. They want to distract their base. Were they put in power, any pipelines that would get built would be strictly ornamental and a waste of money. But Canada's conservatives do love wasting money.